Welcome to Vocal Tips in 10 with me, voice professional and your host, Amber Mogg Cathy. The show where every week you'll get actionable tips in vocal technique, artistry, health, and more, all in 10 minutes or less. Your best voice is just a tip away, so let's go. Hello, singers, and welcome to the newest episode of Vocal Tips in 10 with your host, me, Amber Mogg Cathy. And I want to jump right into some vocal myth busting. We're specifically going to be talking about the foods and the drinks that singers should and should not eat and drink. What's really going to help your voice? What's going to negatively impact your voice? What's going to work for you? And I got the idea for this episode because I've had a couple different singers just the past week in my Vocal Pro membership. My Vocal Pro membership, I love it so stinking much. I will put information about it down in the show notes, but it's a monthly membership that singers can join ranging from only $19 a month to a max of $65 a month. And it's a whole private interactive community where we have challenges every month, courses, a massive voice gym, live coaching calls, video coaching, direct access to me. It's just this great community of about 100 singers right now from all over the world working on improving their voice, wanting to sound and feel and think like a pro, whether they are a pro or not. So it's everybody from very professional singers using this to support, their career to singers who just are singing because they love it and everything in between. And a couple different members in just the past week. And both of these members happen to be singers who are on the professional side, and they have been singing at a quite high level for many years. Both of them asked me separately about different foods and drinks. One of them said, "Hey, I know I can't have caffeine when I'm singing, but can I have Sprite? I've been told no, but I really feel like it makes me feel better. I like it during my show. Is that okay? Or should I just listen to what everybody's told me and avoid it?" And another person said, "Hey, I've been drinking olive oil to help lubricate my vocal folds. I'm still not feeling hydrated. What do you think the issue is?" So I thought, okay, if these are two singers who've been doing it for a long while at a high level, and they have these questions, they aren't the only ones. And there's no shame in asking these questions. Of course, you don't know the answer unless you've learned about it. And I know this is true because I was listening to the Las Culturistas podcast. It's with Bowen Yang and Matt Rogers. They don't really need me to shout them out, but if you haven't listened to it, I love it. And they had Ben Platt on, who I think Ben Platt just like, oh, right, let's have a moment of silence. He's just a fantastic vocalist. And Ben Platt was saying he had a show that was recurring in New York. And he was saying, hey, one of the things you need to be sure and do if you are performing regularly like I am right now is you can't drink cold water. I think he actually said cold water will make you crack. You have to drink room temperature water. And that is not necessarily true, and it's freaking Ben Platt. So let's jump into it. First and foremost, your voice is housed in your larynx, which is part of your respiratory system. Your larynx that houses your voice, you can feel this tube that it connects to. That's the trachea that goes right down into your lungs, which is great for us as singers because the lungs give the air that goes up the trachea to fuel the voice. But because it's part of your respiratory system, nothing that you eat or drink ever touches your vocal folds. Ever. I know for some of you, you're like, oh, I knew that. Probably for a lot of you, and even if you are an unbelievable singer, you're like, the what? What is she talking about? But really think about it. Part of your respiratory system, our voice's number one job is actually not to sing. It's not to speak and communicate. Its number one job is to protect the lungs. The vocal folds close, the epiglottis, which looks kind of like a Pringles potato chip, closes over it every time you eat or drink to protect your airway, to protect your lungs. The only time that anything has gone to go down that direction is if you've ever been eating or drinking and you're laughing or talking and something quote unquote goes down the wrong pipe. That is when something is trying to go down your respiratory system. And as you have experienced, it is not letting it go down. That's when you just start like viciously coughing and gagging because it's your body's way of going, no way, we're not letting anything go down there near our lungs. So we cough and we gag and we choke and out goes the liquid or the food. So nothing you eat or drink actually directly touches your vocal folds. So if you kind of think about your neck, there's our larynx and our trachea, our respiratory system, and behind it is another tube. That's the esophagus. And the esophagus is what goes down into our stomach. So when you go to eat or drink anything, you chew, you swallow, it goes down the throat, down the esophagus to eventually make its way to your stomach. They're two separate systems. And the reason why this is important is because nothing you eat or drink touching your vocal folds means nothing you eat or drink directly impacts your vocal folds, which means, dun, 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 there is no overarching list of foods and drinks that every singer needs to avoid or every singer needs to be ensure and consume. There just isn't. Everybody is different. Everybody is different. So you are going to have foods and drinks that probably bother you, or foods and drinks that you feel like for whatever reason make you feel really good, and they might be completely different than mine. So Ben Platt might be somebody who, when he drinks cold water, is like, for whatever reason, whether it's real or it is psychosomatic, he's been told that, so he's like, no way, that's my superstition, I'm staying away from it. Or it very much affects him for whatever reason. Room temperature water might be ideal for him, right? I will tell you, I stay away from really cold stuff before I sing. I don't have dairy before I sing because I swear to you that it makes me gunkier. I know it doesn't touch my vocal folds. It doesn't create mucus, which I had been told forever. What it can do is take mucus secretions that are already in the body, so that are already in the throat, and it can thicken them up. Some people, it doesn't seem to affect them. It doesn't bother them at all. I've worked with singers who can have like truly a thing of ice cream and then go sing their tail off. And I swear to you, if I have a little bit of a smoothie and I go to sing, I'm like, like it really impacts me. So the point of that is that my body is different from their body. What you have to do is listen to your body. So the singer that asked me, hey, I know I can't have caffeine before I sing. Of course, that's the rule. None of us can have that. So bad for our voices. Not really. There's no research that shows caffeine is bad for your voice. If you are a person that's a reflux sufferer, I am a reflux sufferer. Caffeine is something that can exacerbate reflux. What happens with reflux is the food and drink is in your esophagus. Then we go to lay down at night, it goes up the esophagus and it spills over into the respiratory area, which kind of irritates, of course, that area because that acid and everything is not supposed to be there, can swell the vocal folds, and there can be lots of side effects from that. So if you are a person that deals with reflux, something like caffeine might really bother you. But many people can have all the caffeine they want and it impacts their voice zero. So I told that singer, well, number one, if you want caffeine, you can have it. And number two, if you feel like Sprite makes you feel great, it keeps them cool because they were doing an outdoor festival at the time, drink it up. If you are a person that Sprite makes you burpy and you're belching in the microphone, skip it. The singer who said, well, I'm drinking all this olive oil and it's not hydrating my cords. I felt so badly for them because they'd been drinking pure olive oil. Disgusting, because they were told that is a way to lubricate the vocal folds. So they were doing it because they care about their voice, but it's not real. It doesn't touch the vocal folds. So how the body is hydrated when you drink things, when we say, hey, drink a lot of water or eat water-rich foods or just, consume a lot of liquid, because hydration is really important to us as singers. It's important to how the body works and very important to how the vocal folds work. And just so that outer layer is nice and slimy and oily so the vocal folds slide and we get less direct collision, but it doesn't go directly to the vocal folds. What has to happen is we drink things, we eat water-rich foods, it's absorbed in the body and we get internally hydrated. So the moral to the story is there are no foods and drinks that are a no-no for all singers and that are a thumbs up for all singers. Honey, tea, and lemon. I love it. I love a tea when I'm singing. I really feel like it warms the whole back of my throat. I get more moisture, so that's wonderful. The throat is part of your vocal tract. That's important. But does it go to your vocal folds at all? No, it does not. Those delicious throat drops, do they go to your vocal folds? No, they don't. So when you're wondering, should I have this? The answer comes down to you. I always recommend singers take a little food diary, which sounds more involved than it is. Open the notes app in your phone and just jot down what you're eating or drinking for the day. And if you realize, oh, I felt really cruddy, look at what you're eating. See if there's a pattern. If you notice things bother you, avoid them. Not because someone else told you to, but because your body tells you, hey, I don't like this before I sing. There's also certain things because I have reflux, like citrus, that can be really aggravating for me. But I love me some grapefruit. I love a margarita every once in a while. It is horrible for me before singing. I mean, everything swells and gets irritated, and it's not my friend. So if I'm going to sing, I sure am not for several days before having any of that stuff. But if I don't have a performance or I don't have anything where I have to sound my absolute tip-top best, I have some of that stuff because I'm a human, and every once in a while I want to have some of that stuff that's yummy, even if it bothers me just a little bit. So you've got to listen to your body and figure out what works for you. Okay, ramble over. I think this might be over 10 minutes. It might be my first one, but I did my best. I hope this is helpful to you. I'm so glad you are here listening. Check out the show notes if you want to know more about the Vocal Pro membership and community. That is the way to get direct access to me 5 days a week. What I love about it so much is it is genuinely a community. We get to know each other. We root for each other, and people not only grow in their vocal abilities and their skills, but they're cheered on all along the way. And I am head cheerleader. So check it out. We also do one-on-one coaching at the studio. You can book a consultation. I have a Great Erase Your Break course. And if this is helpful to you, I would love it. Give me a review, give me a rating, shoot me to a friend that's a singer or a voice user. And just thank you so much for being here. All right, now go eat and drink stuff and don't worry so much about it. Happy singing.